Good evening, and thank you for watching Wyoming News Now. I'm Valeria Fugate. A deadly mass shooting left 5 people dead and at least 18 injured in Colorado Springs on Saturday. It happened at an LGBTQ nightclub, and the suspected shooter is in police custody. David Daniel has the latest on the investigation.
I want every citizen in our city to know that the men and women of the Colorado Springs Police Department stand with you during this tragedy.
A night of terror rocking Colorado Springs late Saturday night into early Sunday morning. That's when a suspected gunman walked into an LGBTQ nightclub known as Club Q and opened fire, killing 5 people and injuring at least 18 others.
While the suspect was inside of the club, at least 2 heroic people inside the club confronted and fought with the suspect and were able to stop the suspect from continuing to kill and harm others.
The suspected gunman has been identified as 22-year-old Anderson Lee Aldrich, who is now in custody. According to investigators, he used a rifle in the attack, and 2 additional firearms were found at the scene. Meanwhile, the nightclub posting this message on Facebook: Club Q is devastated by the senseless attack on our community.
Every person, regardless of who they are, have the right to be secure from fear and physical harm. And actions taken to strike fear in specific communities will not be tolerated in our community.
The devastating shooting at Club Q comes 6 years after the deadly mass shooting at Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida. It was there 49 people lost their lives and 53 others were wounded. Right now, Colorado Springs police are investigating this recent shooting as a potential hate crime.
We will put every effort into holding any perpetrators involved with this horrific act accountable.
I'm David Daniel reporting.
The bipartisan same-sex marriage bill has passed its first key hurdle this week. Senate has cleared the vote to start debate on the Respect for Marriage Act, which would force states to recognize same-sex marriages from other states. This could become important if the Supreme Court decides to overturn gay marriages. 50 members of the Democratic caucus voted in favor. They were also joined by 12 Republicans, including Senator Mitt Romney of Utah.
Well, we already have gay marriage in the country. That's a decision made by the Supreme Court in the Obergefell decision some years ago. This legislation just says that the status which is conveyed by one state has to be recognized by another. At the same time, this legislation provides important religious liberty protections. And it's because of that compromise that I think the bill made sense.
It's finally warming up, Ryan. But is it going to stay that way? Meteorologist Ryan Schollenberger is here with more.
Thanks, Valeria. It was warmer during the day today, Sunday, but it is starting to cool off rather quickly here from the Wyoming News Now weather deck. Let's take a look currently at our radar and satellite shot, see what's going on around the state. Here we're looking at just some cloud coverage moving in from the north, from Montana over Wyoming. Looks similar to what we saw last night, but that's really all we're going to be seeing for this evening, as not much weather is forecasted for the next couple days here. In the almanac, we had a high temperature of 48, 2 degrees warmer than what we typically see in Cheyenne. The low was 17, 6 degrees cooler. In Casper, it was a high of 39, 5 degrees cooler than what we typically see, with the low about on par in the low 20s there. In downtown Cheyenne, it is currently 30 degrees with south-southwesterly winds at 5 miles per hour. In downtown Casper, it is 30 there with southwesterly winds 16 miles per hour. Weather headlines include tonight's going to be mostly clear and breezy. Tomorrow we're going to see the sun return and breezy winds are going to stick around. And Monday night, again, clear skies with continued breezy conditions, especially in the southeastern portion of the state. I'll get into those details later in the show when I have your full weather forecast.
Thanks, Ryan. Governor Mark Gordon says our economic growth has been strong, yet inflation has hurt us. The governor explained his biennium budget at a press conference on Friday. Fiscal years 2023 to 2024's budget approaches $3 billion. Gordon talked about funding sectors like education, workforce, mental, and health care. Gordon says our economy has performed well this year, and the additional revenue will be invested and not squandered. Yet high inflation is a double-edged sword for Wyoming. The state's natural resources placed almost $1 billion in reserve accounts, but it placed a strain on citizens, government sectors, and future budgets. The governor has placed almost $14 million aside to deal with those additional costs. But diversifying Wyoming's economy could help to provide for our future revenues, says Gordon.
Our diversification index, our ability to talk about various sectors of the economy participating in our economy, is at the highest level it has been in 40 years.
The next legislative session begins January of 2023. With the spirit of Christmas in the air, what better way to celebrate than with a Christmas tree lighting ceremony? At Healing Park in Casper today, its city held an annual Christmas lighting tree ceremony to spread joy and cheer to those in the hospital, across the street of the park, and within the community. The big man in red himself and Mrs. Claus made a special appearance. Children were eager to get a photo with him with hot chocolate in hand. Even Cinderella and Belle made an appearance.
This has been going on 25 years. Started in 1998. And the children can see Santa and Mrs. Claus, and there's Dream Upon a Princess. So the princesses will be here for the children to have their pictures.
If you weren't able to make it to meet this year, make sure that you mail your letters to them before it's too late.
Well, we saw the warm-up for the second half of this weekend, but what can we expect to start our week out? I will have those details when we return with the full weather forecast.